Hello guys, welcome back to another video, and well, we have another new custom coming to the Etsy, and you can see it's this creature. Yeah, I made the mutant from Jurassic World Rebirth. We're gonna call him Mr. Mutant because Distortus Rex is probably the dumbest name I've ever heard, but to be fair, this is probably the dumbest creature to be added to the Jurassic franchise, so guess it fits. Anyways, you may recognize this is the Schleich T-Rex, which is the figure I based off of. I actually got a lot with a few other figures a while ago. I'll link that in the description. And, the Schleich T-Rex went in there and I wanted to customize it because I didn't really have a purpose for it. And I was like, this thing, I'm looking for things to customize and repaint, and then I saw this thing. I was like, you know what, this thing would actually make a pretty good Mr. Mutant. So, yeah, that's what I did. And I posted some images on my the community tab for quite a while now. Definitely, if you want to see updates on the Etsy way more often, community post is where I basically put everything. I occasionally put things on, like, I occasionally do videos on, but usually, actually, I've already canceled a few videos where I basically went over a lot of stuff coming from the Etsy. And even when I do those, it's usually the day that I upload the video, all the other Etsy videos. So it's still a bit late. I just recommend going to my community tab if you like to see updates and stuff. But, yeah, pretty much, this was actually pretty simple. I just basically just add a bunch of random garbage on top of a T-Rex figure and give it some long arms, and you basically get Mr. Mutant. So, yeah, starting off with the head. I gave it that big old bulbous forehead everyone's obsessed with for some reason. Also gave it jaw articulation. It doesn't, I didn't give it all articulation. The figure just came with jaw articulation. It doesn't really open that wide, just like T-Rex. But, yeah, you can kind of see, like, the eyebrow bridge still kind of in there, but not really much. Painted some nostrils on. Going down to the bottom, the bottom part, you can see where kind of the sculpt. You can kind of see where the sculpt part is because there's not really any detail on there. But you can also see the arms, which we have one arm on the ground to support this thing's weight. And then they have the other one reaching out. This arm gave me quite a bit of trouble. I do want to mention, if you purchase this item on the Etsy, the arms are pretty fragile, especially this one. This one gave me a lot of issues to get to work. But I finally did get it so that it should be stable enough. But just definitely be careful while handling this figure. Then going down to the legs, you can see just the Schleich T-Rex legs, and then the tail. So yeah, pretty much the color scheme I went with this. Like, a lot of people were saying just to paint it black and basically be done, and I didn't want to do that. Basically, what I did instead was I did go with like dark gray and dark black. Like, you can kind of see it a little bit better in person, the different variations of color. But I based the colorations more off of like the actual T-Rex in Rebirth. Just did it basically did the Rebirth color, like the Rebirth T-Rex, except did all the colors in black and dark gray instead. So you can kind of see it's really glossy. So even though this is matte, this is like the matte spray I used to seal this in. It isn't matte, but just the glare. I don't know if I remove, like, let me see if there's any of the lights I can move out of the way to try to at least try to stop the glare a little bit. Yeah, none of these really stop the glare. I guess that one just kind of gets rid of the light completely. Yeah, there's not really a good way I can show it without it glaring, really. But it has it varying colors. It has, like, the stripes on the snout. Also give it speckling across the entire body of, like, black. Also, there's, like, a gradient of color, kind of little dark grays and stuff going down the body. And then I also gave it stripes on the tail. They're kind of like dark gray. And then painted all the claws black. So, yeah, I don't actually have the big Mr. Mutant figure, but from what I've seen, it's similar in size to the Spinosaurus. I will link a review of the figure of the actual Mattel one if you'd like to see that. Definitely a really good review. Definitely recommend checking it out. But, yeah. Let me just set this figure down right here for a second so we can move on to these size comparisons. So, let me just grab my ruler. This figure measures in at about 11 inches long, which is pretty long, and about at the hip, I'd say about almost like 4 inches, 4 3/4 inches, and then in height at the top of the bulbous head, probably say 6.5 inches tall. And then this thing is actually pretty wide. Turn it around. Yeah, this figure is actually decently wide. It's like 4 inches wide, so that's pretty wide. So yeah. Anyways, to actually compare it to some things, again, I don't actually have the mutant figure, but I do have, okay, just knocked over the Utahraptor, but I do have the Jurassic World Rebirth Spinosaurus. From what I've seen, the mutant is like about the same, like similar in length and similar in height, pretty much up to a little bit taller than the scale of this figure. So it's probably like, I don't know, probably about the same length, but like this much taller than it. Like, yeah, you can kind of see on camera. Very little. So it's like a quarter of the size of the actual Mattel figure. So yeah, this guy is nowhere near the size of that, but I did give it kind of... Honestly, don't know what colors this thing is in Rebirth, though, frankly. Does anyone know the colors of, like, any dinosaur in Rebirth? All the colors are just really weird. Then here's it compared to the Utahraptor from the Wild Roar. Pretty much this is a Wild Roar size, like a juvenile Mr. Mutant, I guess, since it's, like, the size of the Wild Roar figures. Not in the same colors as the Mattel figure, but it's very similar in size to some of the Wild Roar figures. So, yeah, a few other things I can compare this to is, I guess... Velociraptor and a Mattel human figure, which actually I'll do the Mattel human figure first. You can kind of see it sizes up pretty nicely. I usually pair this figure up though with, let me go grab it off the shelf real fast. I usually use Darius instead though, since Darius is slightly smaller than the other human figures. So I think it just sizes up nicer, so it can actually kind of be like the hand level of the thing. But here's the next to an actual Mattel human figure. Well, a full-grown Mattel human figure. Oops, that is quite a bit taller. And you can see the shoulder, like, I mean, it kind of still can be grabbed, but, yeah. I actually originally was going to make, like, a teacup for this. Don't ask why. I just was. If you know, you know. And I was going to make a teacup for the Mr. Mutant, but, I decided not to do that. I don't know why. I just decided not to. But, yeah. Again, also, the Velociraptor. This is also very much going to have a little bit of a side tangent with it. This is going to be the Velociraptor I use for size comparisons now. I used to use the green Velociraptor that came out in that one Dominion set with Ian Malcolm. But then I changed it to using Velociraptor, I just call it red, but I think it's supposed to actually be a figure of Tiger, but I mean, Mattel freaking made the figure red. I don't know if I can really call it if I can really faithfully call that thing Tiger. I just call it red. Anyways, yeah, I used to use that Raptor for a while, but since I have new shelves, they're very annoying to get off of the shelf since they're like the worst spots. So, yeah, this Raptor is like the only Velociraptor I don't keep on that tall shelf. I keep it on my lower shelves. Actually, it's been in the same spot. This is the first Mattel figure I ever got, so I keep it in a special place. And it's actually a place I can reach, so that's like reach easily because the other ones are really high up. And also, again, I don't want to knock everything down. This one's easier to get. So this is going to be the new Raptor I use for size comparisons and videos because it's not annoying to get off shelves. But, yeah, anyways, again, sorry for the side tangent, but here's a compared to the Raptor, which it actually sizes up with pretty nicely. Like, it's about half the size of that. I don't actually have my custom Rebirth Raptor because that was one of the Etsy figures, but I don't have like a compare that to. But I do have the Scorpius Rex, which you can see outsizes this thing by quite a lot. It's absolutely massive compared to it. Next, here's a compared to the Indoraptor, which is actually surprisingly is basically the same size except the Mutant, I say, is even bulkier than the Indoraptor, and also the Indoraptor has just a really long tail. But without the tail, honestly, the Mutant's actually bigger. So, yeah. Mutant, well, you can't really see it here, but Mutant is taller. Mr. Mutant is wider. Just generally bulkier and way heavier than the Indoraptor. So, yeah, honestly, I could do, like, a battle between the two, but I kind of don't want to, actually. So, yeah, you can kind of see them kind of compared to each other on all fours. About that size. Keep from falling over. And the last but not least, here's it compared to the one, the only, the absolutely oversized Indominus Rex, which from what I've seen is also about the same size as the actual Mattel Mr. Mutant figure. So, yeah, this thing is just nowhere near the size of the thing that the Mattel is releasing, or the ridiculous size that is in the movie. I'm not going to talk about the movie much, but all I have to say is why the heck is this thing sauropod size? I already find like every aspect of this creature's existence unnecessary and kind of ridiculous, and the oversize is just like, okay, so yeah, we just have a kaiju in design and in size in the Jurassic franchise, and like, I don't know. Anyways, this is the Mr. Mutant figure. Also forgot to mention, this thing actually has glow-in-the-dark eyes and teeth. Not going to show it on camera, but the eyes and teeth do glow. But, yeah, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and